So seriously, I've been thinking about this for a couple of years and how to do this. One thing right off the bat is I'm doing this with a low G. You can follow along with a high G. It's just going to illustrate these concepts to your ear with a little more clarity, but the theory is the same whether you have a low or high G. Okay, let's start off with just reviewing the C major. From the C note to the C note, we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, now if we were to do this on the C string, we can see that it's a whole step, 2 frets, right? Whole step, C to D, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And a whole step is 2 frets, a half step is 1. Now, the intervals that make up the C major scale, and if you don't know intervals, it would be highly beneficial to check out the most important music theory lesson that I did on intervals. It will make all of this much more clear, and the concept you will not only will make it more clear, but you're going to get more out of the lesson if you understand those ideas. So the C major scale is composed of a second, a third interval, a fourth interval, a fifth interval, a sixth interval, a seventh interval, probably the most dissonant, and then your octave. Now, what modes are is a mode makes it so you're still in the major scale, or you're still these same frames of notes, but it changes the root note. Now, believe it or not, we've already seen one of these, and that is with the minor scale. You've probably noticed before that, hey, the minor scale has the exact same notes. And you probably first learned that when you learned the pentatonic. And you're like, okay, A minor pentatonic. And you're like, well, isn't that also the C major pentatonic? It is, and that is because of this concept of modal harmony. The mode that you know is what is called the Ionian mode. Well, you know 2 of them. Ionian is our major scale. And the one you already know is Aeolian, the A minor scale. Now, it has the exact same notes, but what happens is you start and finish on an A note. So even though you keep the same notes, you shift the root to the A. And when I play that, it sounds like this. Now, it sounds different. It's the same notes, but it sounds darker, more melancholy, and it just sounds different. Why is that? How can the same exact notes sound different? It doesn't really make any sense. Well, it's because you remember when we did the whole half steps across? If you start and finish on a different note, the order of the whole steps and the half steps becomes different. So A minor, starting on the A, and we're going to finish on the A. But keep in mind, it's the same exact notes, just that we're starting on the A and finishing on the A. We get A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Whole, half. And remember, if we went to the major scale, it was whole half. There was 2 wholes before the first half. In the minor scale, it goes whole step, half step. The first half step comes earlier. Then you have a whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to F, whole step to G, and a whole step to A. And if you remember, the second half step is at the very end of C, right? It goes from B to C. But here we go from G to A. It's a whole step. So even though they're the exact same notes, by treating A as the root, the order of the whole half steps becomes different. And what that does is it creates a different set of intervals. A to B, we have a major second. That's the same. But then it goes to C. That's a minor third. So A, B, I can't play those at the same time, right? But A, C, this is a minor third. And if you remember when we played C to E, we had a major third. Here it's bright, it's happy. A to C is a minor third. It's dark, it's melancholy. This interval doesn't exist when you go from C to C. Because you treat the orders different, this particular interval does not exist. So in this minor scale, we have a second, which is the same, minor third, which is different. We have a fourth. The other scale had a fourth. We have a fifth as well. Then we have another interval here that's new called the flat six. Then we have from the A to the G, another one, flat seven, and then our octave. So by starting on A and finishing on A, even though they're the same notes, we create different intervals. And those different intervals create different feelings and emotions. The flat six, which we have in our A, is dark. The flat third is dark. And then the flat seven can be dark or bluesy or aggressive. But those particular combinations of sound don't exist from C to C. Now, that's the one you know. That's the minor scale. You can do this on every single note. So even though it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, if I want to, I can treat D as the root and go from D to D. And I can go D, E, F. Let's just do D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Makes D minor our one chord as well. We'll touch on the harmony in a second, right? Okay, so now that what I just did there from D to D, this is the mode that's called Dorian. So D Dorian, 2, 0, 1, 3, 0, 2, 3, 5. A different set of whole halves and a different set of intervals. I like the Dorian a lot because the Dorian is a minor scale, but unlike what we just did with the A minor scale, it doesn't have that minor sixth, it has a major sixth. So from D to B is a major sixth interval. So this one, unlike the minor scale, has a major sixth, but unlike the major scale, it still has a minor third, and it still has a flat seven or minor seven. Flat third, flat seven, but a major sixth. So the intervals for D Dorian are the following. Now, if you think of this, now we'll talk a little bit about minor or the harmony, how this kind of works. If you think of, also real quick, some of these modes are much more practical than others. Some of these you just are so dissonant, they're almost impossible to use. And some of them are much easier to use. Dorian is one that I enjoy and I like to use. And also you can mix modes with the major scale. So if I want to, I can mix D Dorian with D minor. It's possible to mix these ideas as well. Again, this is probably the most advanced music theory lesson we've ever done. But I'll be here to answer questions, and it'd be worth revisiting it because these are some pretty cool ideas. And if you can understand modes, I think that you can pretty much understand music theory in general. So normally, if you think of D minor and you do a 1-4 progression, it would be D minor, G minor. But D Dorian doesn't have a B flat because D Dorian doesn't have a flat 6, remember? It has the major 6. So D Dorian would be D minor, G major. And with this set of chords, what you would use to create melody and what you would use to improvise, treating D as the root, you would use D Dorian. The D Dorian is the happiest of all minor scales because it has that flat sixth in there. Okay, so our major is what is known as Ionian, starting on the C. If I were to start on the D note and go D to D, we would get D Dorian. If I started on the E and went E to E, we get E PHRYGIAN. I don't even really know how to say that. I've never heard anyone say it. I think it's PHRYGIAN. I think so. And then if we start on the fourth interval, F, we get one that's called Lydian. Lydian is very nice. I've even heard some people make the argument why Lydian is more practical even than the major scale. If we start on the fifth, we get the ultimate rock and roll blues. If we start on the G, we get MIXOLYDIAN. G to G is MIXOLYDIAN. A to A is Aeolian. And B to B, CLOCRIAN, the super dissonant, I don't even really know how to use it scale. Okay? All right. That would be all in the key of C. But what I want to do now is I want to walk through C Ionian, C Dorian, C Phrygian, C Lydian, C MIXOLYDIAN, C Aeolian, and C CLOCRIAN so you can hear each one of these individually. So the first one is C Ionian, also known as C major. 0, 2, 0, 1, 3, 0, 2, 3. And if I flash the stats up for this one, this is the information that you get. Those are the intervals, whole, half steps, where it comes from. Is all the information that you need for the C major. Okay, next is C Dorian. 0, 2, 3, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3. Again, that nice flavor with that major sixth, but as well as with that minor third. Okay, the next one, based off the third interval, would be C PHRYGIAN. Phrygian. Next one would be C PHRYGIAN, and this one does sound pretty gnarly. It's 0, 1, 3, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3. Pretty dissonant scale, right? Okay, next one would be C Lydian. Lydian is actually really nice. You hear Lydian a lot from the guy John Williams, I think his name is, and he's the one that did Star Wars soundtrack, Jurassic Park. The Jurassic Park actually is a great example of Lydian in action, and it only just takes that fourth interval and pushes it up, so it just moves that F to F sharp. So you get 0, 2, 0, 2, 3, 0, 2, 3. Fun fact too, if you make the second fret a first fret, you get something called Lydian flat 7, and that's the scale that The Simpsons was made out of. So that would be 0, 2, 0, 2, 3, 0, 1, 3. It's the only time I've ever seen that, and that's not actually a mode, that's just taking a mode and modifying it. Well, I say that, but I can't be 100% positive, because there are two other scales, the harmonic minor and the melodic minor, and you can actually generate modes from those as well. I know, pretty crazy. MIXOLYDIAN, the one that I use the most in blues soloing, especially over the 4 and the 5 chord. And this one just flattens the 7th. Only one note difference. It's 0, 2, 0, 1, 3, 0, 1, 3. With that being our little special note. C Aeolian, we've seen the C minor scale. But we've seen Aeolian. C Aeolian, C minor would be 0, 2, 3, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3. And last, C CLOCRIAN. 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3. All right. Now, those are all the modes from a root of C. So you can see how each one sounds different, because if we were to do that kind of to go through C and go from C Ionian to D Dorian, it's a little harder to hear the differences when you do them all from the C major scale, because all of these modes do come from their parent scale, the major scale, right? Now, some of these are more practical than others. I'll try to leave some examples for each song so you can kind of hear them in the description. And this wasn't meant to be a comprehensive, hey, you've mastered all the modes. This was meant to introduce you to the concept of modal harmony, what it is, show you how to build them, and then show you what each one sounds like from a C root. Each one of these modes individually really deserves their own complete breakdown, and having really only done that from the minor scale or from the major scale perspective, but we never looked at it necessarily as a mode. We looked at it as the major scale. So I think the first one I'll do in this series will be Dorian. I do have some MIXOLYDIAN riffs up and some stuff like that, but each one of these modes is going to have its own theory breakdown as well. Maybe try to do one a month. All right. If you know any great modal harmony, leave it in the comments below as well. And until next time, take care. Have a lovely day. Rock and roll. Life is good.